Welcome to the App Advisory Show, your fortnightly dose of all things cloud accounting, apps, and app advisory.
Hello everyone, Matt Flanagan here from Appicus. So another episode of the App Advisory Show, and I'm delighted to have Gavin from Beach Accountants. Good afternoon, Gavin. How are you doing?
Hello, Matt. Yeah, very well. And yourself?
I'm good. Just trying to work out this weather in May. I don't know about you, but it's like it's been. I'm a sunglasses on now. When I just went out, it was into a rain mac. So is that the same up north?
Yeah, we're getting hailstone though, so you know, be grateful it's just rain.
That's all right. Yeah, not got that yet, but I'll brace myself with maybe snowman building in the middle of May at some point this month. So Gavin, I've known you for probably a couple of years now, actually, through different sessions and online sessions as we've had for the last 15 months. And previous to that, we actually did some face-to-face stuff as well, which was pretty cool. But do you want to tell all the listeners and watchers a bit about yourself and your firm?
So as I say, from Beach Accountants, and whilst we formed in 2012, we sort of went in 2016 is when we started to have a look at the cloud accounting systems of Xero and QuickBooks. And whilst they generated some money and interest from our clients, a lot of them seemed to think that it was a cost and additional to what they were doing. And I don't think as a team that we were in the right place or the right mindset, so that we sort of backed off a little bit from that. And therefore, you know, it took a little bit of time before we started moving on that. And it was March 18, which made the difference for us, and we were nominated as a finalist for the Northeast Accounting Awards for Small Firm of the Year. And within that, it gave me a buzz. It gave me a little bit of excitement about it. And their process here is that you do interviews and form filling and stuff like that. And what that did was it just made me think out the box. It started to make me think in a different way, and you know, give me an insight of what we could do. And whilst we didn't win, which you know, it didn't matter. What it did was give us a different aspect on it, and I could then go back to the team. And we started instantly working on the 2019 accounting awards and looking at what we can bring through in the business to then trying to do that. And throughout 2018, I mean, partly prompted by Making Tax Digital, but was the need to be ready. You know, seeing things had and were changing, and the industry was moving quicker than it had done for many years.
Yeah.
And what we did then was got the appetite and really pushed everybody to that cloud accounting step one of getting a lot of our clients onto Xero and QuickBooks and onto that type of platform, and moving away from that sort of historical completion of accounts 6-9 months after year end to that, you know what, people need more information than that. And more current.
Yeah.
And that's really what we worked on throughout 18, and then in 19, again, we were nominated as the Small Firm of the Year in the Northeast Accounting Awards, but this time we were also nominated as Tax Team of the Year, and we were the only SME in the top 5. There were all big companies in it, and that really did open lots of doors of opportunity in the industry. It got our firm known throughout, and you know, and all the groundwork that we'd done in 18 then allowed an explosion of insight and knowledge and progression within the firm. And advisory then came to the fore in 2019 for us, which of course then you meet lots of influential and inspiring people in the industry. Which then again helps you progress, and we were then invited to the British Accounting Awards to see how it all worked, so that we could go more from regional to national. And we also joined some collaboration groups, both in and outside of the industry, and therefore give us a different aspect of what people were wanting, or what was available in it. And personally, that just snowballed our progress into the digital firm era, where technology and progression of the firm, just really, progressed beyond belief.
So if I take you back to that, so you've gone for these awards have come up, and it started to open your mind about actually there's a progression that you're actually undertaking, maybe not recognizing, starting to realize you've got an opportunity, you've got a good basis for a team. Because there'll be a firm listening to this who's maybe you in between 2012 and 2016, and are like, well, I don't know what you're doing, maybe a bit of desktop, a bit of manual, a bit of everything to sort of get that. And obviously you've just talked about making that leap into more digital. What was the view then? So was it very like a traditional sort of all sorts that you just worked with and got clients to that sort of 6-9 month year end point? Is that what it was like before for you?
Yeah, it was just a very typical traditional firm, where you seem to keep yourself to yourself. And it was great when you got a new client and you worked on that a bit. But it was very much about traditional record intake of having paper on your desk and working through things, and then an argument about price rather than quality. And it was I think like most firms, and you really got to open up to something different to make leaps forward. Because what I learned is that the income, whilst it went up and down a little bit, pretty much stayed static, and we were at a point where the firm wasn't going to go anywhere any more than it had. They seemed to
just plateaued a little bit there.
We had seemed to have peaked to where the business could go in what way we were doing it, which is why you go, well, hang on here, there has to be a different way to do it. And the more people you talk to, the more you go, hang on here, what about this? What about that? And you question yourself and you question your abilities. And I've had a huge passion for accountancy since early school years, and followed it all the way through. I've done nothing else about accountancy, and going to where we are now, I can't wait to wake up in the morning to get to work. And it might sound a bit sad, but I really that enthusiastic, because we know what's coming and we know what we're doing, and I think that's the important part.
Okay, so not wanting to be ageist or put you in a certain age bracket, but in terms of if you've been looking at accounting or in that interested and that involved with it since the school time, you must have seen all the different platforms, not all of them, because that would be like Pacioli and we're going back 800 years, right? But you would have seen quite a few different platforms and different methods and different processes of running. So for you to be at this point now excited to be getting up in the morning because of what you're currently doing and what you can be doing or could be doing in the future, well, how does that differentiate from those early days of accountancy for you to where you are now?
Okay. Very much so. I mean, I remember when I first started, there was one computer in the corner of the office, and you all had the time slot to go and key your numbers onto this green screen. And you really thought that was the height of technology, and it couldn't get much better than that. And if you missed your time slot, if you hadn't got your accounts to where you needed to be, well, you had to wait till 5 o'clock when everybody finished so that you could then get onto the computer. So I remember handwriting journals for clients. So I really am. I know I was in my training years, of course, then, but I had to handwrite them, and I was handwriting them, and the manager turned around to me and said, "Can you take a little bit more time because you're doing it too quick? Plus, can you do it a bit neater?" As accountants, I think we love numbers, but we don't like writing very well.
No.
And you go back to that, to where we are now, where you want to be talking into your mic rather than typing, rather than the day we were doing that. And when we were printing accounts out, I remember in the office, the printer would take one page at a time. And I remember printing out tax returns, and it just seemed to take forever. But because they came out nice and colorful, the clients were very impressed.
Isn't it? And
yeah.
So just thinking about it, so you've had this period in 2016. So 2012, is that when you started on your own and each accounts became? That's when you started. So where you are now and the vision you had in 2012 must be vastly different, because obviously we wouldn't have known this world was coming, or it might have been a bit of an inkling that something's changing, but not to a great level at that point, I wouldn't think.
No, and what I would then say is that, in fact, I said in 2018, I'm even going to take it from 2018, and I said, when I could see what there was about, I had said, you will not recognize this firm in 5 years' time. And I can tell you now, Matt, you can't recognize it now in 3 years. Not 5, in 3 years, how it's transformed. Not just the services we're offering, but within the team, how they've adapted to it, how they've changed to things. And then the expectation of the clients have then changed, because and the type of clients, because they're all wanting that. Where I had said to you way back in 16, a lot of them were going, oh, when you got to pay a monthly fee, when now they're going, well, if it's going to save me money and if it's going to save me time, well, let's go for it. What we're waiting for. 2012 was very different, but even since 2018, the change in the company is way succeeds my belief of where it was going to be.
Just to pick up on that point about 2016, you're offering monthly subs and this type of new world, and I always wonder this with folks, because obviously you're now transitioned and still transitioning into this world of offering new services in a new way, but obviously still the core accountancy services as well that have always been delivered. But I always wonder, and I'm interested to see what you think about this, whether there's a confidence to this. Like, maybe you're asking if we should go down this route, and not necessarily to that level, but I'm going to sort of cajole you as a client into this world with me. Come on, let's go QBO 0, do some monthly. Whereas now, when I've seen firms evolve, I feel that you're leading the clients as well, because you've got the confidence and this is right for them. And I think early days when you're new to it, you're still on the fence. Is this right? I think it's right. Everyone's telling me it's right, but I'm still not proven myself that I know it's the right thing to do. And you sometimes need that proof in the pudding before you get really good at structuring the offer and the messaging to the client as well.
Yeah, but I think what's really done us the biggest favor amongst all of this is that accountants becoming famous by QuickBooks and Xero and Sage all really throwing their money at advertising. So it's easier to sell something when people recognize the name that comes through. Before in 16, people were like, well, we live up in the Northeast and there were a big Sage advocate up here, and therefore, if you suggested anything outside of that, they went, well, I've talked to my mate in the pub, and well, I could go down the Sage route, and you're going, at the time, maybe you need to look at a different product, and I don't think that one's right for you. And it was a harder sell where the advertising has done us a big favor, because no matter who we talk to now, they have heard of QuickBooks, Sage, and Xero. They're all there in the mix, and particularly in lockdown, because nobody was advertising in the general retail world, and therefore, they stood out more. I'm not saying they were great adverts, by the way, but
no,
they got the name out, and I think that's what's changed the sell of it, and therefore any practice going into that route now, the hard work has been taken out of it. Even in 2018, we were sort of battling with clients to get them onto the software, and only then were they really going, now I see why I wish I'd done this a year earlier. Where now you've already had it, and I've still got clients who will then come to me and ask me, I'm coming to you because I hear you do a lot on Xero, I hear you do a lot on QuickBooks and stuff like that. So they then come to you for that product.
Yes, there's a bit of education awareness anyway from the vendors directly, which makes life a little bit easier. Whereas I suppose if you're offering Zero and to be honest, probably QBO back in 2016, I mean, you say, oh, Zero's a product from New Zealand. It's been around about 4 years. I'm not that many people using it. And I'm not even sure QBO were that entrenched in 2015 in the UK. So yeah, it would have been different. So that is interesting. But like you say, the adverts, I think everyone's got the same opinion. It shows that accounting's pretty easy, and you just need these this army of small people who do stuff for you on your phone and stuff. So, but that's an opportunity, right? Because if somebody picks it up themselves, makes a hash of it, as long as you've got a service to offer to help them get out of that, it does play to your strengths if you can pick up that opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And people do think it's easy. And yes, okay, I think they've sold it maybe a little incorrectly. But once you then sort of show them some of the things within it, the number of clients who'll go, yeah, that's really great. And yes, I really can see the benefits, but no, I don't want to do it. Which is where a lot of your apps come into it. And we'll come into that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you've talked a lot about your journey in personally and as a firm. So I always ask this question of people who are, because there'll be people who are here going, Gavin sounds like me at this point when he's in 2016 or 2018 or 2012. Is there anything you would have done differently? Anything you think is a I would have maybe approached that a bit differently? So to give those people who are listening a bit of hindsight.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that I wish had maybe not done differently, but was I would have tapped into would have been collaboration. Accountants were very, I've known it where you don't talk to the accountant next door because he might come and steal your clients, that type of scenario.
Yeah.
But what I've certainly learned is that with collaboration with other accountants, it's the amount of knowledge that you obtain, and we've seen some tremendous benefits from that. And I wish we had done that earlier. I think that's where I would do it.
Do you think on that, Gavin? Just to plug into that, I speak to some firms who are worried about the collaboration because they're so early to it, right? So sometimes they're just taking it one way, and you will have been at that point, right? One point where you're sat there listening to a few people who are ahead of the game, and you're thinking, "Oh, I'm just taking and not giving." But of course, it's like a pass down, isn't it? Because then there comes a point where you've got some knowledge, and like this, you've got something to share with other firms that it can be passed down again. So I think if you're listening to this and thinking, "Oh, I've got much to contribute," you may not now, but in 6 months, you will have something to contribute to somebody else who's in your shoes coming into this, right?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And there are some groups where I've gone in as the person who sat in the corner and really listened. Because I've got initial shyness, which doesn't always help within that. So you kind of sit in the at the side and then listen in and get a lot of knowledge, but that cycle just keeps continuing because now I'm with, in some of the groups I'm in, now is my turn to give that information and feedback through it. And we know that through COVID that a lot of groups of this type sprung up. But what ones I've really found useful, if you want to take it, and you've got to be a bit brave, is the mastermind deep dive groups, where you've got a selection of 5 or 6 of you, and you're really going deep into your troubles or your thoughts or your plans. And I'm part of the Rebel Accounting group, and I know there's several other groups out there. But that's transformed my business, and it inspires you and helps each other, and excites you all because you can hear then what the other people are doing in the group. But I was told one thing on the first day, and they'd said, whatever you put in, you'll get out. And it's I can't say any more than that. Is that you've got to be open and honest and tell it from the start. but that will reap rewards further down.
I remember one of the sessions that we've done together, and I think what you've done really well is you'd ask a question and you hadn't understood the answer. And I think a lot of people just say, yes, I understand what you're on about, and still don't really understand it, but I've got a better way. And I remember you saying, yeah, I've still not got it. And I think that's brave to say, I've just listened to you for 5 minutes and I still haven't got it. And can we go again? And I think that's some of it within this collaboration type of world, that you've got to, if you don't understand it, is being that brave to say, yeah, I still need a bit more than this. And once you get it and you're on your way. But, you know, it's if you've not got it first time, there's no crime in that, and saying whatever collaboration group you're in, I'd just like to know a little bit deeper. I need a bit more before I'm willing to go again with this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as I say, you've got to be brave, but you know, what are you scared of? I think that's what we're going to look at, particularly if it's in a deep dive group, because, you know, yes, you know, I'll wear my heart on my sleeve, but then, you know, but that allows other people to do it as well, and therefore you then get the confidence within each other. And therefore help and inspire. And I can tell you that you know, at least 4 or 5 suggestions that I was told and we've acted on, and has done us the world of favor. You know, and I can't thank all of the people who have done that enough. And you know, it's part of the journey, but you know, what it means is you'll look out for that person as well, so that if they ever need that leg up or help, you'll be there for them. And you realize that accountancy industry is not a big world.
No, not at all.
And that, you know, you get to know a lot of people very quickly. And you don't see them as opposition. You see them as, you know, if they're delivering a quality product, then all respect to them, and you've got to appraise that, but then go and revalue yourself and go, well, if they're doing it, why aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree. It's really important. And also we want awareness of there is this digital accounting, right? So the more people are doing, there's more awareness. That makes the engagement with prospects and clients a lot easier. There is competition is one part, but awareness is also really important as well. So in terms of, just so people are listening, like what size is the firm? What's been the growth in terms of people?
We've doubled our employee size. We're at 10, and we've got you know, another person starting and another position opened up at the minute as well, purely because you know, the apps and things that you get or dealing with allow you to generate more money, because you're taking away more of that financial director role away from the medium-sized limited companies, where, you know, before they had to have somebody, and you take that away, and therefore you end up doing more and more of their role. But with some of the apps, it's without that time and element of it. So, you know, in terms of debt chasing and things like that, you know, we can automate it through Targo or Chaser and products like that, so that, you know, you're taking over, and whilst the client's going, wow, that's really great, you must spend a lot of time on mine. You know that it's all automated and works really well. And, you know, we're not hiding that from the client, but his perception of how you're doing it compared to the amount of time it took him or her really transpires on it, and therefore they're just seeing the value. And it's about being you know, worth your money. Yeah.
So on that, that doubling, has that happened like in what time frame?
Really sort of since early 20 for us. And this year, without a doubt, and, you know, it's a continual growth area for us at the minute.
Yeah, great. So you're attributing some of that to maybe some services, like new digital services I would class, like, you know, debt collection, things like that, as and recognizing that they're an opportunity, but also a valuable service to the client, right? Because I think sometimes we can take on this extra work as accountants because it's sort of in the Xero and QBO land, and we'll sort of take it on. But recognizing that some of these services are really valuable to the client, and a fair price on that is a fair game, really, essentially.
Well, I mean, we're the most trusted profession, and therefore, we don't need to sell things to people in the same way, because if you say, look, this product will help your business, and generally you've got to think of it in that sense, then they'll believe you and go with that. Of course, don't missell, but we rarely do anyways as accountants. And therefore, with being an honest profession for so long, has then given you that background to be able to sell without realizing it, because you're offering what else is out there which is going to benefit the client. And as long as you've got the client best interests at heart, then you're always going to do well out of it, because they'll go, wow, what a difference that's done for my business.
Yeah, so just to plug into that, so we're talking about debt collection and some other services. We're going to go to apps in a little shortly, but how was it offering those new services? Like, go back to those first few where you're like, I'm going to offer something and we've never offered it before, because that'll be got people listening. Okay, I know about these tools, but like, how do I start to talk? And I know we spoke a lot about this, and like, how do we start to talk to clients about that? How did you find that? What was that like?
It's very nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking because it steps you outside your comfort zone. And generally what we do when we go to offer these services is we're offering them to our bigger clients. And therefore we can't afford to mess up, because they're our biggest clients. And I think that's the point. We put ourselves under pressure because we know who it's best for, and we go for them first, not because we think it's the easy win, but we think, oh, well, they can afford it, but then can we afford losing them? And therefore that's what puts you into that scary part of, well, I've got to make this work. But whenever we're put into a pressure zone of going, I need to make it work, you generally do, because we've had to do it through exam training and so forth. Anyways, whenever we're put under pressure, we've got to excel, and therefore it's only that. But you probably weren't planning to do that. Maybe at certainly at my age, you probably weren't planning to go, what, I've got to keep educating myself, on every tool we've got. But what I can touch on that whilst I'm doing that, and this might be something to assist people with, is what we have, or what we've started in our practice, is that every 3 months, we have two pods of people. And every 3 months we get them to choose an app, and they've then got to pitch that app. And it might be, we try and make it opposition apps, just out of interest. And what we do is within that team of people, they've then got to go away and research it, and then they present it to me after a month. And of course, then the best pitch works, and the best one then goes within our app stack. But what then allows it to happen is that we then become very knowledgeable about two apps, even though we've adapted one. Because if you take on one of the apps, but then identify a client and go, do you know what? I know we go with this app, but this one really is better for them. Then we have that ability, and therefore the whole team grow all together, because they've all had to pitch in to do some research, all pitched in to do some of the end pitch at the end of it.
We'll take credit control, because what you're doing really is you pick 2 or 3 apps in that space for credit control. You're actually learning about credit control, like, because all the features of a solution are the solutions that will fix the pain points that someone needs credit control. So really what you're doing is the 2 apps are driving your exploration of the credit control area. So you end up with, we've got people with credit control problems who just happen to have a couple of solutions, and this is our preferred, but actually this one does some other stuff that should the client need it, we can maybe introduce this one in.
Yep.
Okay. And so just around that question around when you offered it, was it as bad as you thought when you offered these new services? What was the response? What did you get from it?
Generally, once it works, you're always going to have teething problems, and therefore I'm not going to deny it probably costs you a lot more the first time than you get back on it. But it's a learning curve, and it's like everything, that it's always a steep learning curve initially. but you've got to, act smart and be smart early doors, and therefore, what you lose this time, you'll gain the next time.
Go on, Gavin, sorry.
And therefore, don't expect to think that this is a big money spinner from the outset. And I think a lot of people go into it thinking it will take time, but you will get an awesome reaction from your clients when it works the way it should work, because they're blown away, because they'll come to you and go, do you know what? I wasn't quite sure about that, but whoa, has it made a big difference to the firm?
I think with those services as well, I mean, whatever service you're going to end up picking, if whoever's listening out to this, if you're an accountant or bookkeeper, the key is making sure that you're right. There's a learning investment in all of this, right? So what you've got to make sure is whatever service you're going to be offering, it's going to be something you're going to be repeat offering. When you just do one service standalone, don't get the return, but you're never going to deliver it again. So let's say you're going to implement a big job management system, but you've not got any more on the radar. You'll learn all of that job, but never ever redefine it again. If you're doing digital health check and you're going to do them over and over again, then it's well worth spending a bit of time on the first couple, getting your process, your pitch, your script, your patter, everything together. And then when it starts to roll, it does become scalable, repeatable, and profitable, right?
Yeah, and with us with health checks, it took me a little bit time to get where I wanted to be there, and then we rolled out 5 within 6 weeks or something. Yeah. So you've got to go, as you say, for repeatable business. If you're doing it as a one-off, you're just going to lose money. You've got to have an understanding of what you're going for, and therefore go for the common apps first. Okay, so what everybody else is doing it. But when you think everybody else is doing it, you'll find actually 1/3 of the firms are doing it, and the other 2/3 aren't.
We're talking about it and not doing it.
Yep.
Lots of people talking about it, but not the execution, and that's the key thing, right? So you got to bring these things to life.
Yeah, you've got to work at it and make it happen. It doesn't matter your firm size. You've got to have somebody who's got the passion and drive for it. You've got to want to do it and see the vision at the end of it. Don't just start the journey because you've heard it's quite a good thing to do, or, well, we've got to be making tax digital, so for everybody by 2023, so we'll just get on this bandwagon and walk with it. If that's your approach, you'll always struggle, because there's firms out there who are completely passionate about this and will do so much better from it.
Fully agree. Okay, then. So we spoke about a lot there, actually, Gavin. We've gone right through that. Okay, it's called the App Advisory Show, right? So we should really talk about a little bit about tech and apps. So, favorite bit of tech or favorite bits of tech? Like, what's on your radar, Gavin?
Well, okay. A lot is on our sort of radar at the minute. And within us, within the firm at the minute, we've kind of been changing PM systems from Center to Carbon because that adapts more of our firm. We're then looking at automated software for AML, because that's our bit of a pain point, making sure everybody's covered, and we're trying to do that in an automated way, producing an onboard system so that anybody in the team can be the salesperson, not just one person. And pull it through like a pipe drive, so that you can see the progression of where it is and follow up where need be. So we've got that sort of thing, but the bit of tech that I think made the biggest impact on our firm is Dex Prepare and Dex Precision. And people might go, well, that's basic, but what it does is it pulls everybody on your platform, all your clients onto a platform. And if we start with Dex Prepare, we found that it's very easy for people to use, even non-tech people, and I think that that's helped us do it. And whilst we've then gone and done videos and stuff like that to then say, hey, look, this is how quick and easy it is. This is how you can download the app on it and fetch your invoices and statements and things. Do it, and we can set rules and things on it. But when we're on about earning more money. What we've really done is that we've given them this app, and when we've done that, they all upload it, but they then don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
And therefore, when you've then got they integrate with your Xero and your QuickBooks and so forth. And even if they don't have it, you can then download it into a CSV file. And I think that allows you to change the look of your firm. In that, once upon a time, I used to pay thousands of pounds into printing and stationery. I can tell you that it's once in the blue moon that I ever need it. I have a rep at the stationery company who's phoned me for the last 18 months going, but you haven't ordered anything. And we go, because we don't need it.
Yeah.
Because we're running paperless, because, we just scan the apps or email the apps, take a picture of it up, uploads into that. None of my staff, none of the team have any paperwork on their desk. They never need to. So if you've got OCD, then it's a great look for the office, because it's just crisp and clean. The cleaner when they come around it don't know what to do, because they just go around and they haven't got to shift a whole pile of files or anything like that. And it's really useful in that sense, but it then allows the client to just take a picture on the go, so you're capturing everything as you're going along, and therefore you can convert people into doing daily bookkeeping very quickly, because where I said before, people will wait 6 to 9 months after the year end before you do their accounts. Where if you're getting the stuff uploaded on a daily basis, then you can deal with it there and then, and therefore you can get the accounts and tax return done at the year end much quicker, because they've already got the data there. But also you're working so much on real time that you're being able to advise people. I'm sitting talking to people whose year end's July to tell them, well, this is what your tax bill is going to be, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
You can then work with it.
Yeah.
And they always say that you build a relationship on contact points. Well, when you're doing daily bookkeeping, well, you tend to end out contact them once a week to go, oh, you've spent this, but you haven't given me the invoice.
Yes.
You're not waiting, months later for it to go, oh, by the way, I don't have this, for them to go, oh, I don't know where that is. And it allows that communication without actually needing to pick up the phone, because they're aware of that daily interaction, and therefore don't need to look for anybody else, because they go, well, my accountant just deals with it.
Yeah.
There's not that, oh, well, it's my year end, will I go with this person, or will I change it this year? Because it's just a continual cycle. Every day is just another day.
So that's Dex Prepare.
Yeah.
And what's the precision? What's in that?
On precision, well, we've used that substantially, and it's one of the favorite tools in the practice. The account managers have been using the inbuilt tools such as the duplicate transactions feature and things like that, so that it's appearing directly on the main overview page, so it's very visible right from the start, and therefore we review all our VATs and returns for all of that, be that done by internally or externally, and therefore it's giving us a good indication of where it is. And what we've then done is that we did it to do the monitoring part first, but then we've rolled it out to the rest of the team, because we go, hang on here, you can then check your own preparation, your own quality, so that it's not then going to the team leader to then check, oh, hang on here, your quality is not very well. You haven't got good quality here, because they're then able to do it themselves, to go, hang on here, I need to correct this. And therefore they learn that bit earlier, because they're making their own mistakes and capturing them. And of course, the big growth area is, of course, the apps at the minute and your digital health checks, and therefore, it's a great contributor with your health scores, your duplicate contacts, your multi-code contracts and suggested defaults. And it's all a good starting point. And I was a little bit frustrated a couple of months ago because I did a health check, and everything I did for this client, it was coming out to be around about 92 to 96% good. And I'm going, no, this is not right, and I was having to work really hard at it. And I went back to the client and I'd said, I've gone through all your health check, and as you say, you tend to like to feel you're giving value for money. And I went back to them and I went, well, I've done all this work, but actually what you're doing is just really, really good. And when it's suggestions, then my suggestions are limited. And they turned around and went, but that's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's peace of mind.
We just wanted to know that what the accounting department are doing it right.
It's good.
Yeah. And that's worth all the money that it's worth. And you just kind of go, you know what? And here's me worrying about, well, is it great? I'm not coming out with something, oh, your cash flow is really bad, we can do this. Your debt's really bad, you need to do this. So you've got to take it on in that sense. And I think the other bits of it is the resilience. It shows dependency on customers, the cost analysis along with it. But internally, the best feature that we have is the activity stats section. And this is great to make sure that our pricing is correct, so that we're pricing accurate on messy jobs and stuff like that. Because it's too easy to go, right, okay, you're on zero. Oh yeah, we know all about that, and take on the job. And actually, they have no idea what they've been doing with
quality control, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it saves that part, because you can run a report and you go, well, you can go and do this yourself, or you can get us to do it. And they look at it and go, hang on here, I've got a score of 25, 26. Well, okay. And the first thing they'll say is, well, I was never to be an accountant. I'm never good with numbers. I just thought it was a good piece of software. Because let's be honest, cleaning up data is a time-consuming job.
It is. You've got to know what you're doing as well. That's the other thing. Really.
Yeah. But you've got to identify that early, or it'll just become a bigger mess. So, and I think what's good is it helps you detect where it went wrong in the first place, so that, fixing the areas will then allow better decisions and accurate data.
Fully agree. Well, you may say they're not that exciting as apps. What I do think is there's lots of people who pick those apps up and think, oh, they're part of the basic elements, but it's all about to the level you optimize and utilize those tools. And I think that's the key thing. If you start to optimize them, me, I'm like, reduce your app stack as much as possible. Don't maximize it, and use those to the optimum, the ones you've got. So I love those tools because I think they really drive the quality and also the insights that you can get to clients, which is what this is all about. Better insights more frequently, and having people who can interpret that and bring it to life. Those tools are really enabling that. So yeah, they're a big plus for me. I think use them properly and you're onto a winner in general. So it's good.
Yeah, and you're right. I think people skip past it very easily and use it as just I'll pull in invoices into a system and then put it into one of the platforms. But use it.
They'll think it's a VAT return tool. Like I hear that a lot. It's just use for VAT returns, and we do like annual accounts. It's not. It should be a lot more than that. Like say, if you can, clients won't even know they're on daily bookkeeping. They're just like, oh, I've got this in. I'm just going to zap it. This invoice has come in. I'm going to zap it. On we go. And that's just they're forming the habit. So you've got to work hard at getting that habit from the client, but it's well worth it in the end.
And when I started out in this journey, probably in 2018, I had said, all our main chain coffee shops were full of people using free Wi-Fi for their dissertations, whatever else. And I had said, there's going to be a day where it's going to be people sitting doing their bank rec when you go into these coffee shops. And, in fact, it's not been the case because we haven't been allowed to sit in a coffee shop. But actually, I think people now do that continual cycle of doing it, even if it's checking out their bank feeds and stuff like that. And once we've got that mindset into your client, your practice will boom, because you've tackled the hardest part of it, and it's just getting them and you, but you've got to be passionate about it and driven.
Yeah, I fully agree. Well, Gavin, we will end at that point. We've had a good conflab there, plenty of insights. Thank you very much for your experience and sharing what's worked for you and what you would have done differently. And yeah, it's been really exciting actually to be on the sideline watching it, Gavin, to be fair. And catch up every now and again. It's always good news. And I think what you've done really well is persevered, right? You've kept going. This is the right thing to do, and kept grafting, as you said previously. It's hard work, but it's very satisfying when you start to reap the rewards and the benefits and the client feedback, as you said.
Yep. And and when you get on that wheel, we're already thinking of what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. And I think that's the exciting part, is that you don't just see it for today, you'll see it for tomorrow, the day after, and it's an exciting industry to be in. Definitely.
When we get back to some sort of physical get-togethers as well, that'll be great, because I think we're overdue that world a little bit, because it was very collaborative in this sort of digital space with lots of good physical events. So hopefully a couple of those coming back will do us all a favour as well. Right, Gavin, we'll call it a day on this one. Thanks a lot for your insights and your time, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of people on their thought process, mindset, and what they need to do for their journey into or ongoing in this digital world. So thanks a lot, Gavin.
Thank you, Matt.
Cheers.